So what should you have in your reseller contract? Well, number of things that your reseller will want to have in your reseller contract. I can guarantee the first thing they'll say is they want exclusivity within whatever geographical territory it is that they're intending to sell your stuff. And that's something that might work well for you, but then again it might not. So why should you or shouldn't you allow exclusivity to a reseller? Well, the main reason to give them exclusivity is to get their commitment, because after all, if you imagine yourself in their shoes, if you were putting lots of time and effort into generating interest in your products and services, and I don't know, maybe they'd done some advertising, some marketing, attended some trade shows, generated lots of buzz around these particular products or services, and then another reseller comes in on the back of all that and makes lots of sales, they're going to have their nose put out of joint, aren't they? So giving them exclusivity in a territory will motivate them. It gives them a really clear incentive to invest time, effort and even money in promoting your products or services in that territory, because they know that they are going to get the exclusive benefit of that investment. So that's why you might want to give exclusivity. But why not? From your point of view, if you think about it, you give exclusivity to a particular reseller in a territory, and let's say they don't rise to the challenge, they don't invest the time, the effort, the money in promoting your products or services in that territory. You're shut out. There's nothing you can do. You can't sell. You can't appoint any other resellers in that territory as well. You've effectively put all of your eggs in that one basket. But since exclusivity is a good thing, how can we counter that? Well, it's not difficult actually. All you need to do is decide, working with the reseller, what is a sensible minimum sales target for them to achieve in a particular period of time. So be realistic. If they're just taking your products and services into a new territory for the first time, they're not likely to wallop through the £1 million barrier in sales straight away. Depending on the nature of your product and service and the length of its sales cycle, it might take a few months or even a few years to get to peak sales volumes. But you should be able to identify an achievable, realistic target that can build up over time, that gives you the right to say, well, if you don't hit this target, and I believe as the supplier of these goods or services that the reason for that is because you're not cutting the mustard, you're not investing the time, the effort and the money, then I have the right to withdraw that exclusivity or maybe even terminate the reseller agreement entirely. So we've covered exclusivity. What else do you need to know about with regard to your reseller relationship? Well, you want to be clear that your reseller's not able to make any commitments about your product or service that you haven't shared with them in writing already. So if your product, say, operates up to 100 degrees C, you want to make sure your reseller doesn't promise to their customers that it operates up to 150, because you're going to end up with a lot of unsatisfied customers out there. So some sort of obligation that ensures your reseller is only able to make statements and commitments about the capabilities of your product or service that are covered in your own literature is a really good idea. Then we talked in one of the earlier videos about what happens if things go wrong, and that carries a lot of weight when you're looking at a reseller relationship, because they're selling your stuff. If it goes wrong, the customer's going to come to the reseller, and that's the way the reseller relationship is supposed to work. The reseller has their contract with the customer and also a contract with you. There's no direct contractual relationship between the customer and you. So if a product becomes faulty or a customer's not happy with it, their first port of call should be to go to the reseller. What your agreement with the reseller has to set out clearly is how you in turn are going to support the reseller in fixing any of those issues at your end.